Whenever we talk about holiness and growth in holiness and spiritual disciplines, oftentimes I will notice an inclination of the head. The head will drop because people are very aware that they have not devoted themselves to the devotions as they ought. They have not grown as they ought, and that there's something lacking in them. They have, to some degree or some measure, they have failed. That's true with any man, no matter how spiritual, any woman, no matter how much they have grown in Christ. Whenever I teach on spiritual disciplines or I teach on the necessity to read the Word or to pray, I always want you to keep this in mind. His mercies are new every morning. I have been walking with the Lord for getting close now to 35 years. That is my verse. That's my text. There's not enough paper in the world, not enough trees to cut down, to write down how many times I have failed the Lord, how many times I have gone astray. Mercies new every morning. You know, sometimes I've actually done things and sensed the forgiveness of God to such a degree that I almost felt like He was wrong. You can't do this. And He couldn't. It would be wrong for Him to forgive me as many times as He has forgiven me, except that Christ died in my place. What a wonderful thing to actually walk through a door where the love really is unconditional. And you say, oh, Brother Paul, you talk that way, people will run wild. No, the unconditional love of God will drive you much further and much faster than a whip. How could you love me this much? It's a mystery of the ages. How could you love me this way? And so we talk about prayer. I know that you're thinking, man, my lack of devotion is evident. I don't pray as I ought. We talk about reading the Word. My lack of devotion, I don't read as I ought. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to sit there and dwell on the past. I want you to think about now. I want you to think about rising up now and seeking to obey God in His strength. And every time you fail, I want you to go back to the same thing. Christ died on Calvary so that His mercies might be new every morning. You see, here's one of the things the devil will always do, and how you can always tell his voice. When you sin, he will tell you, run away, run away. And if you even think about not running away, you hypocrite. Just yesterday, Paul, you sinned. Go! What would God want with someone like you? Go! And so you have this, I call it kind of a hockey mentality, in which when you've sinned, go sit in the penalty box for at least several days, depending on the magnitude of the sin. Don't think about raising your head. And then after a while, you've done a certain degree of, mourning. Then yeah, you can come back, but I've got my eye on you. God never speaks that way. God will come to you and tell you you have sinned, and He will say it so clear that it will literally break your heart in two. But if it's God's voice, He will always come back and say, now return to me. Return to me. Run. Run to me. I've sinned. I can't run to Him. You've sinned. You must run to Him. You see. And do it quickly before He reaches you, because He's already started running. And see, that's why I'm so glad that my security doesn't depend on my devotional life. I'm so glad that my salvation doesn't depend on the most spiritual nanosecond I've ever had, because it would not be enough to save me, to keep me. With His blood, that'll do it. That'll do it. Isn't that amazing? They are